At 93, James Earl Jones offered the world a rare and profoundly moving insight into why he had, for decades, declined to reunite with the Star Wars cast, a revelation wrapped in personal pain, artistic disillusionment, and a deep desire to preserve the authenticity of both his voice and his legacy, opening up in what may be his final major public interview, a moment long awaited by fans who idolized the baritone thunder that brought Darth Vader to life but rarely saw the man behind that immortal sound. And what he shared was nothing short of breathtaking, as James, seated in a quiet study surrounded by shelves of books, classical records, and family portraits, began to tell the story of his complicated relationship with the galaxy that made him famous but never fully embraced him, beginning with the earliest days of recording lines for a character he never physically portrayed, a role he took with humility, never imagining it would evolve into a cultural phenomenon. Yet always knowing deep down that his vocal presence was what gave Vader his terrifying authority and emotional gravitas, and while the world came to worship the image of the masked Sith Lord, James often found himself sidelined in public commemorations, fan events, and celebratory gatherings where the physical actors took the stage. A subtle exclusion that built up over time into something more than professional disappointment. It became personal, especially as he watched newer Star Wars projects unfold without him, or with digital versions of his voice created by artificial intelligence, something he agreed to for legacy preservation but found emotionally complex, like a farewell being written in real time. And though he admired the passion of the fanbase and respected the creative efforts of modern filmmakers, Jones confessed that the soul of the original trilogy had been lost in the chaos of merchandising, spin-offs, and corporate oversight, a sentiment he had quietly held for years but never vocalized, not wanting to tarnish the magic for fans, yet feeling the weight of artistic compromise as time passed, and as his health began to decline, his hearing no longer sharp, his eyesight dimming, and his vocal strength fading, he came to a decision that he would not return for reunions, panels, or documentaries, not because of resentment but because he felt his time with Star Wars had run its natural course, and clinging to the past would only dilute the mystery he had helped build, preferring instead to step away with dignity rather than be reduced to a novelty act, wheeled out for nostalgic applause rather than true creative contribution. And beyond this, Jones revealed a more personal layer to his choice, rooted in years of self-reflection and the realization that he had often prioritized professional commitments over personal fulfillment, something he wished to correct in his final years, choosing instead to devote his remaining energy to causes dear to him: literacy programs, veteran support groups, and mentoring young actors of color who faced the same systemic obstacles he once battled. And though offers continued to pour in, including lucrative deals to narrate new Star Wars projects, appear at conventions, and join tribute events for fallen co-stars, James consistently declined, feeling that the best way to honor Darth Vader was to let him remain in the past, undisturbed, a haunting figure whose impact was eternal precisely because it was not overexposed. And when pressed about whether he missed the camaraderie of his castmates, Jones smiled softly, acknowledging that while he loved them all in their own way, time and fame had distanced them all, and some wounds like the initial marginalization of his role had never fully healed. And though he held no grudges, he simply saw no need to rekindle relationships that had long since drifted into polite formality rather than deep bonds. And so he chose silence, peace, and introspection over the noise of fandom, even as millions continued to rewatch his scenes, quote his lines, and revere the villain he helped shape into a cinematic titan. And in perhaps the most poignant part of the interview, Jones admitted that he hoped fans would remember him not just for Darth Vader, but for the totality of his work from Shakespeare to Broadway to cinema to activism, because while the galaxy far away immortalized his voice, it was his humanity, empathy, and unwavering dignity that truly defined him. And as he closed his eyes and took a long breath, James said that Star Wars had been one of the greatest gifts of his life, but letting go of that universe was the only way he could fully embrace the beauty of the one he...
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.